Alright, welcome along everybody to GRS round 12 of 13. We're already on the penultimate round of our F3 championship, and it takes us to China. With only 3 points between our top two drivers, Elliott Savage took over the lead from Mitch Snape last week, and it's 138 to 135 points, all to play for today. And well, if something catastrophic happens to Snape while Savage wins, then that'll be the championship wrapped up for him in the next round, but I don't think that'll happen. Let's get up the track map and some of the other fun stuff here. It's like a little bit of a delay going out of the pit lane for everybody. Does that mean that there's rain to come in the race? We will have to see, but Snape is out before everybody else, and much before everybody else. It's really taking their times in the pit lane, making sure everything's okay. And in all honesty, I personally don't remember the last time I've even seen this track, so I'll have to take a little bit of getting used to looking at the map here. But it'll be a fun one. That it will. Alright, we're gonna take a ride on board with Mitch Snape, first driver out for our first flying lap here in China, and most everybody else staying in the pit lane for quite some time. It's a long track, so if they want to get out and do all of their possible runs, then we'll have to do it sometime soon, but Snape throws it into turn 1 and loses the rear, and is off at turn 1. So we might just have to take a peek at Charlie Gordon, who is going to be taking over for us here. First driver on an actual flying lap. And going through turns 2 and 3 here, now on to turn 4. And losing the rear a little bit there as well. So some drivers starting to... Oh, it's an outlap. Never mind. It's an outlap. Who else is on a flying lap? Here we go. I know what I'm doing. Sam Hussein in the Ferrari will take a ride on board with him. Not sure if he's the first one on track, but it'll do. Goes nicely through turn 4 onto the mini straight here. Turn 5. Didn't even think that would be a legitimate turn, but it is. And into the little hairpin of turn 6. Now into the S's section. Looks to be taking that one almost flat, but it was still too much throttle for Sam Hussein's Ferrari, and he has spun it around in turn 7. So he's gotten 5 corners further than Mitch Snape could manage. So we will have to see who else is on a lap here. Callum Pierce just picking up where we left off with Hussein. And well, he made it to turn 8 at least. Alright, that's a new record for us. Elliott Savage then. That's our championship leader, has the first has the purple first sector, and goes into turn 7. Almost flat for him. Keeping the rear there, going into turn 8. If he makes it to turn 9, it's going to be a new record for us here. Oh, look at that. Thank you, Elliott Savage. Through turns 9 and 10. This might even be a clean lap. Oh, man. Do I curse people, or is that just a coincidence? Who knows? Who knows? But here we go then, onto the back straight, longest one of the track. Very delayed DRS zone, not going to be getting much acceleration from it, but a little boost in top speed. Come race time. Hard on the brakes right before the 100-meter board, but goes pretty deep into turn 14. That's going to lose him some time for sure. But he'll have some time to do another run here. least 1 or 2. And it's the first legitimate time of a 1:33.9. Still some time to be found there in the final couple of corners, but that is first place for Elliott Savage as it stands. Who do we have next? Harvey Conway is going into turn 11 now, onto 12. Just making absolutely certain that this is the camera angle that they're going to give me in the race for when cars are going side by side through the DRS zone, so I might as well just keep it in the onboard camera. Boy, oh boy, I love this game and its camera angles. But Harvey Conway slowing his Aston Martin down enough for turn 14. Little oversteer there on the exit of the corner, but I don't think he'll be losing as much time as Savage just did before him. And DRS open, crossing the line now down the pit straight. And it is only second fastest for him, 1:34.4 for him, so that's actually a lot of time lost somewhere. Might have been earlier on in the lap before I picked him up. Callum Leon is going into turn 11 now. Seems to be my favorite place to pick people up now on the camera. As Harry Powell goes into second place with 1:34.2, just ahead of Harvey Conway. And we'll have to see who can throw together a clean lap here to take that first place away. There we go, there's a nice taking of turn 14. That'll be gaining some time on the front group there, as that Mercedes is very, very out of the way, and Callum Leon gets himself up into second place with a 1:34.1, just 2/10 behind Elliott Savage. And we'll see who else is out on track now. Willie McCory in the Red Bull will pick him up here, just before he goes into turn 11. Throws it in nicely. Oh, it's going to give me this camera angle for the whole... Wow, I would really love some off-board shots. I think the onboard cam's just a little boring at times, but yeah, this isn't much better. This helmet is very similar to mine, I'm just realizing. Same design and colors, just a different scheme. Interesting. I appreciate it. I approve. I approve. Alright, who have I missed here? James McCauley going into 7th place for Alpine, and, well, I am not entirely certain who that is in 9th place for AlphaTauri. I'll have to give a quick check of the attendance as William Curry puts it up into 6th place, and we'll pick up another car on a lap. Snape is doing something. Jeez. McCauley, quick to be on an in-lap there. Who else can I pick up? Callum Pierce has no front wing, so something major has happened to that Mercedes. So who else can I pick up? Here's Jack Cockane on a lap. Looks like he is, and I'm just going to take this moment to take a peek at the attendance and see who I am missing here. If I can find the channel. Oh, Bjorn Rasmussen. I believe that would be. If that is a Danish name. Where was I going with that? That's a Danish name if I've ever seen one. There we go. That's not a Danish name, I would be incredibly surprised. We'll write that down. Bjorn. Alright, enough about that. We are riding on board with Jack Cockane in the Alpine, just throwing it into turn 14 now. Going to be finishing up his lap in just a few moments' time. And let's see where this lap gets him. That's a nice angle through turn 16 there. Surprised he didn't invalidate there on the outside, but must have just kept a little bit of his tire on the inside of the track, and Cockane goes up into 7th place. Not a bad time from him. And, well, he just passed a Haas. That wasn't Mitch Snape. That was, yep, that was Backlick, so... Snape only has the capacity to bin it once during qualifying, I would say. Oh, Charlie Gordon's on another lap here after losing it in turn, what, 3 or 4 was it when I first picked him up? And invalidates there on the inside of turn 6. So we'll have to find somebody else to jump on board with. And Tyler Witz might just be that person heading into turn 11 now. Oh, that was actually a really good angle. I shouldn't have cut to the onboard. Nope, he's well past that corner now. Yep, thank you. And he is backed out of his lap. So, find somebody else once again. How about Powell on an invalid lap? Very nice. Kane's on an in lap because we were just on board with him, and I don't think anybody is on a flying lap at the moment. Well, I just saw the thing disappear from Savage, so he will be on one shortly. Still holding that provisional P1, only 0.03 of a second ahead of Tyler Witz behind him. But if he can improve on his previous lap, which I'm sure he can, he will be much, much more ahead. Alright, here we go then. Drivers throwing their car into turn 1. It tightens up as they head through turn 2 now. And then the track drops away from them and they have to switch directions. It's a very slow corner, turn 3, and then you have to get the power down nice and early, but be careful not to lose any traction through turns 3 and 4 because they're tight, but you want all the power you can to get that straight as fast as you can. Then it's a little miniature hairpin through turn 6, climbing over the curbs on the right-hand side. And once again, having to keep traction as much as you can through the SS section, turn 7 now. Then the right-hander of turn 8, just a little bit tighter than previously, and then a little hard braking there. You have to be very careful on the brakes as the car isn't completely straight into turn 9. Get the power down before turn 10. And charge on down to the next braking zone, turn 11. Pretty much a 90-degree left-hander, but that feeds itself into turns 12 and 13. That opens itself up onto the back straight as we see Savage going through there now. And it's quite a long straight, so there might be a lot of cars trying to run low downforce to gain some positions during the race on this straight here. But they will be severely compromised through the turn 1 complex and turn 11 as well. Hard braking into turn 14, and he went a little bit wide again, I would have to say. But might still be good for him. Yeah, Savage is crossing the line now, and I'm just realizing that he hasn't used up barely any battery, so he must have backed out of his lap pretty early on. So I've done all of that commentating for naught. Well, you can just try to remember what I said as we watch Elliott Savage do an actual lap this time. Let's see if there's anything interesting happening on the timing towers while I was away. Mark Vesjak put himself up into 6th place. It's an Aston Martin 5.6 for the moment. And Snape might have done an actual lap here. P11 for him as it stands with a 1:35.9. So quite a ways off of our P1 time though. So quite a spread of times actually as I'm seeing there. 133s through the 34s and 35s. And Elliott Savage has lost it going into turn 8. So that is unfortunate for our championship leader in F3. Let's see if we can pick up anybody else on a flying lap now. Callum Leon is 7/10 down on his previous time, so that's not going to be anything good. And there we go. I was thinking somebody would take away that P1 quite quickly. Harvey Conway for Aston Martin goes into the 1:33.5, so almost 0.4 of a second faster than Savage. Powell is on an in lap, I would assume. And if he wasn't before, he certainly is now. Going into the pit lane. See if we can pick up Callum Pierce. No, he's not got enough battery for an actual lap here. Vesjak almost doing what Aston Martin, goodness. What am I trying to think of? Lewis Hamilton got himself retired there when there was a gravel trap there. Thankfully for him, there is not one in 2022. We're picking up William Corey going down the back straight now. Using up all of the track as it opens up through the corner. Very nice line from him. One more to go then. See what sort of lap he can put up. As he crosses the line now. Only good for P9. 0.6 of improvement. Wow. Impressive from the Red Bull driver, but only good enough for P9 as it stands. I've dropped something. What have I dropped? Oh, I've dropped a remote for my Quest. Unfortunate. Let's see here. Pierce is not on a lap. Snake might be on a lap here. Nope. Not 9/10 up. Yeah, Cockane might be on a lap here. We might have to just stay on board with the Alpine driver for a moment. Much on board is he? Reds it through the yes sections here. Tight turn 8 going into turn 9. Red Bull ahead of him gets out of the way. And just having to lift a little bit with the understeer through turn 10. And unfortunately, it's looking 4/10 down on his previous time, so he will have to have a very stellar Sector 3 if he wants to improve on his previous best, but he might just have to back out and try again, or head on back into the pit lane. His teammate is behind him, so it might actually be a little bit of team play here from the Alpines. Getting a slipstream down the back straight. They're not very close to each other, so it won't be a particularly strong one if that's what they're doing. And then he will have Dirty Air going into turn 14. So we'll have to see what sort of time Macaulay can put up with that. Might be some slipstreaming going on down the pit straight as well. Interesting there from the Alpines. So P8 for James Macaulay for Alpine, and then I don't know if Jack Cockane is going to be going again or not. He's already a second down, so let's find somebody else to hop on with. Is Savage going again? Savage will be going again, so we'll stick with him for a little bit here. Definitely not trying to curse him at all. But if anyone's going to put up an interesting lap to watch, it'll be him. So crosses the line to start his lap once again, as there is not much time left in qualifying. Time flies when you're having fun, huh? I just saw it flash up there for a moment there, only 30 seconds left. So everybody that's on a run will be on their last ones for the day. Backlick puts up P1, so it's a 133 almost flat for him. So Savage will have to improve by pretty much over a second if he wants to get that P1 time, so we'll have to see what the Williams driver can do. I was not looking at the detail as he was going through Sector 1, so I'm not sure if he is up or down on his previous best. But he's going to have to push like mad. Two-tenths up so far. Won't be enough for position as it stands. We'll have to see how he can get on through the final sector here. We saw him go wide a couple times at turn 14. Might just be his line, honestly. I could be completely wrong. But this time he nails the apex on the inside, and I think that'll be giving him a good improvement here. One more corner to go, gets it slowed down nicely on the throttle there. And he's going to be crossing the line now. What's it going to be for Elliott Savage? Currently P5, and crosses the line. It's almost 4/10 of improvement, but not enough for him, as P5 is going to be his best. While we were away, his teammate Callum Leon got P3, and Sam Hussein got himself up into P2. So good laps from them, but overall, Backlick taking pole by 4/10 of a second. So a very strong lap from Backlick. We'll have to see, because at the beginning of the session, I was pondering whether the race would be wet or not, as everybody was taking their time in pit lane. So maybe some wet setups going on here. That would be interesting. I mean, if it's a dry race, then that is quite a bit of spread between all of our drivers in the times, but it actually closed itself up quite nicely. A lot of 133s going down into the 34s past P6, and pretty much that all the way down to the end of the field, so I could be wrong. I often am. Alright, here's the official classification then. Bakalik takes pole from Sam Hussein and Callum Leon. Behind him is Harvey Conway for Aston Martin in P4, Savage P5, and Tyler Witt 6th. And Harry Powell 7th, Mark Vesjak 8th, Callum Pierce in 9th, James McCauley in 10th. Mitch Snape quite a ways away from his championship rival in P11. He'll have to get up through the field if he wants to keep his hopes alive. P12 for William Corey, and 13th for Charlie Gordon, Jack Hackane in 14th, and Bjorn Rasmussen rounding out the grid in P15 for Alpha Tauri. So don't go anywhere, we have a very exciting race to come. I will be calling the action for that. Aha! I was right. For once in my life, I was correct about the weather. And it is indeed a rainy race, so we saw some of the drivers take their times in pit lane before they headed out for their first laps in qualifying. And we saw quite a spread of the times for the most part throughout the session. And indeed, it is a rainy race, so all that more... what? Okay, let me try that one again. All the more interesting. There we go. All the more interesting for the race. And it'll be starting in a few seconds' time. Alright, 4 lights on, 5 lights on, and Bakalik leads us away. Game is saying full wet tire strategy for the entire race. We'll have to bring up the detail, but it was a good start from the Haas to get himself a bit of a gap. Elliott Savage had himself a very nice start, qualified P5, already up into second place again, and not Sam Hussein, Harvey Conway dropping back a little bit there. Looks like everybody's trying to keep it as clean as they can through the first couple of corners. Nobody's spearing off into the distance quite yet, so very well behaved from F3. As we'll have to see if anybody's going to be trying to go side by side through the S's section here. I think everyone's just going to have to take it slow, feel their way around the track with the lowered grip, but minor contact there between Tyler Witz and Sam Hussein. There's local yellow flags here. Somebody's gone off into the distance, and that is Charlie Gordon in the Alpha Tauri with James McCauley as well, not having a front wing at all on that Alpine. Snape actually dropped down a position, so it'll be some early pit stops for a couple of drivers. As Savage is hunting down that P1 spot now, heading into turn 11. Very brave to stay right behind the car in front of you, braking into such a slow corner as turn 11. But they'll be heading onto the back straight now, and it looks like Savage has much better traction than the Haas in front of him. And indeed, he's already alongside him as they're heading down the straight now. I got a very nice head-on shot this time. And Savage is going to be deploying everything, trying to get past the Haas, but Bakalik might actually be running a little bit lower downforce in the wet. It might actually be paying off for him here as he's fending off Elliott Savage, trying to get that P1 spot. So very well done. Callum Leon trying to go around the outside, or is that Harvey Conway making a move on the inside? Either way, they're going to stay side by side. No, they're not. They're going to be smart and file nose to tail as they head into the final corner. And was that Savage going wide? It might have been. I think it was, in fact. Savage going wide in the final corner there. Easy to do. It's trying to find a spot here. There we go. Callum Leon is very close to Tyler Witz ahead of him in the Red Bull. And look at that. Very nice view for the fight going on ahead of us. Is Tyler trying to get past Harvey Conway in the Aston Martin. A little twitch from the Red Bull there isn't going to be helping his pace going down into the mini hairpin of turn 6. Is anybody going to try any moves here? Lunge down the inside from Tyler Witz, and Callum Leon picks up the scraps as well. He might actually have better traction going onto the straight here, going into the S's, but backs out of it there. And is Conway going to be looking for a move there? Just lost the rear a little bit there. It looked like the car starting to float towards the inside. And I think Vesjak made up a move on Callum Pierce I just saw. And somebody's off the track. That is Bjorn Rasmussen off the track at turn, going into turn 8 it looks like. Back up at the front of the field, Savage is still pretty close to Backlick ahead of him, but he's dropped by a little bit there. And not finding as much traction as he did last lap. Going through turn 13, still gaining some time and deploying the battery, but switches it back off there. He knows that he's too far back to make any moves. And just a bit of a train forming here. We'll take a ride on board with William Corey, who looks to be trying to make a move into turn 14. He's got the inside line, but Jack Cockane braking that much later because he knows he wants to hang it around the outside. And of course the game's not going to give me a very good view there, but Kari makes the move stick and goes up into P11. He'll be hunting down some points from Mitch Snape ahead of him. And everybody very well behaved, I have to say, through the first few laps, and race is going to be settling down here in just a moment's time. They're all just starting to group up together through the very slow corners of turns 1, 2, and 3. Those prolonged corners, very difficult in the wet. There's a local yellow flag for Charlie Gordon, and a retirement there for Bjorn Rasmussen on the pit straight. Brings out the full course yellow. And we'll have to see if that's a virtual safety car or a full safety car. We'll see. VSC, I think that sign said. So a virtual safety car for a first retirement of the race. Bjorn Rasmussen retiring on the pit straight there. I assume he would have been losing it out of turn 16 on traction. Along with a local yellow for Charlie Gordon, who's not been having a very good race so far. Fitting the intermediate tires, actually. I should bring up the detail here. So intermediate tires for Gordon and Snape. We'll have to see if those show any extra pace, but I'm pretty sure they're not so far, as there's quite a group forming up behind Snape that I saw. So the wet tire runners just holding up right behind the Haas. Not able to get past him, but certainly not going much slower. Have to see, is anybody going to benefit from the VSC? Everyone's starting to pick the pace a little bit. I think that's just the Delta growing as they go down the straight. So there won't be any overtakes. As Jack getting very close to the back of the Ferrari in front of him. Everybody driving to their Delta, and the green's back out. So the racing commences once again, and I think Backlick just had a bit better of a launch there from the end of the VSC. We'll have to see if anybody else is helped or hurt by that, but I don't think so. Snape, however, is certainly under pressure from a Red Bull behind him, but still too far back for William Corey to make a move. Just keep an eye on everything here, see if Curry wants to make any moves on Snape. He's hanging very close behind the Haas. Through a little snail complex there. Curry's very close to Snape ahead of him, and Savage has pretty much caught up to the back of Backlick ahead of him, and Callum Pierce has lost it coming out of turn 7, and now full safety car. Full safety car is out, so everyone's going to be grouped up nose to tail. And unfortunate for our Mercedes driver there. Car is already away, so I can't pick up what happened, but just saw the mini-map there showing that he was off at the exit of turn 7. Certainly not the first person to do so. And we'll have to see how long the safety car lasts. Is anybody going to try a pit stop, perchance? Don't know if the rain is scheduled to get any lighter or heavier, but it doesn't really look like it's changed much. Would be a gamble if anyone wants to pit. Everyone pretty bunched up already, and not much spread happened throughout the first couple of laps. So not very many open pit windows. But there are a couple pit callers here. Backlick into the pit lane for Haas. And I see Calum Leon in the pit lane as well. Yeah, Sam Hussein's in the pit lane. William Kari's in the pit lane too, so interesting there. We'll have to see what sort of tires everybody's putting on. I assume if you're going to the pit lane, it's going to be for intermediates, and it is. So the track might just be drying up a little bit. It'll be interesting to see because I don't think I saw any intermediate runners gaining any time on wet tire runners. We'll have to see what sort of a strategy they can pull. Of course, not much degradation on the wet weather tires, be they intermediate or full wet. So maybe looking to just have fresher tires for the end of the race, maybe knowing that the rain's going to let up near the end. Maybe they'll have to be sacrificing some lap time in the early stages of the race and just not have a pit stop under green. Whatever the thought process is, it's interesting to see, and it'll certainly shake up the race going forward. And hopefully everybody can catch up to the back of the safety car in due time, but Charlie Gordon seems to be quite a ways behind it yet, so we might have another lap after this one. Or Savage is in. Savage is into the pit lane. Very interesting late call from him to go into the pit lane on the second lap of the safety car. Might have been a late call from his race engineer. I just saw that there was a collision here on track. Sam Hussein getting into the back of Calum Leon. And he's gotten himself a penalty and lost himself a front wing for it. Interesting. Interesting to say the least. I'm not entirely certain what would have caused such a thing to happen, but we'll have to see what the steward's report is. And indeed, it's intermediates for Savage, who is pushing for the lead position from Bakalik. And this late call has certainly not gained him any places, down in 8th place, while Bakalik, the person he is fighting with, up in 3rd as it stands. So, oh, has James McCauley lost it? Yes, he has, under the safety car on the exit of turn 3. And spinning his Alpine back around, trying to get pointed in the right direction once again. Not entirely certain what's keeping Charlie Gordon from catching up to the back of the safety car queue, but he is not much closer than a couple laps ago, I have to say. So maybe the safety car will just say, screw it and go in, or we'll just sit behind it for a little longer. More changing of position here as Savage and Leon were swapping positions, but looks like they've sorted themselves out. It's been a minor mistake for one of the drivers. Well, I am excited to see the intermediates go on for sure. That means the track is starting to dry up a little bit. Drivers might start to get a little bit more aggressive with their overtaking because the braking distances won't be so so difficult to get right. The cars will be a little less understeery, a little more responsive. We'll have to see. I mean, Sam Hussein definitely has to go into the pit lane without a front wing, and he does. And who is in with him? Harry Powell in the pit lane as well. One of our last wet weathered, full wet runners, I should say. And Macaulay into the pit lane as well. And will Charlie Gordon be able to get past any of these drivers? He'll have to push. And the safety car is going around once again, but I would assume we'd be catching the back of the safety car on this lap, so we'll hopefully be in by the end of it. And now, with those last couple of pit stops, everybody is back, not back, but everybody is on to the intermediate tire. We will be set to go. It's a Haas 1-2 as it stands, but Snape starting on those intermediate tires. Of course, there's not much degradation, and he'll be able to extend because of the safety car, so could we possibly see Snape try and push all the way to the end if the rain doesn't get any lighter or heavier? He might be able to, but I have a feeling that if the rain is scheduled to let up within the first 5 laps, that the dry tires might be coming near the end. That is my guess, and I've been right once before today. I'll have to see if I am right twice. So, either way, it's a halfway decent, at least, strategy for Mitch Snape to be in the lead of the race as the safety car is going in with his teammate behind him. Whether or not he lets his teammate through or his teammate tries to defend from everybody else behind him, try to maximize the points for one of our 2 championship contenders. It'll most certainly be interesting to see. I'm excited to see what happens. Safety car is scheduled to come in at the end of this lap, and pack's starting to bunch up now. And a couple people trying to weave temperature into their tires. A little difficult to do in the rain, but doesn't hurt to try. I think for the restart, I'll ride on board with William Corey in the Red Bull. I want to see if there's any team play with the Haas's, and I'll just have to see how aggressive the Red Bull is going to get on the restart. Snape can go whenever he pleases. The safety car is into the pit lane. He might go a little late to catch everybody else, but he has in fact gone early to catch them out. Anybody still going around the hairpin there is wondering what in the world is happening, and William Corey goes a little bit wide there, so he's not going to be able to challenge for any positions. And speaking of challenging for positions, Callum Leon is side by side with him. I am not entirely certain how Callum Leon got himself all the way back up into 3rd position after getting hit during the safety car, but there he goes on the inside of turn 2. And he's got that podium position there. Corey just starting to lose it a little bit there. Might come under pressure from Elliott Savage as well. He needs to get through the field as quickly as he can to get as many points on Snape as he possibly can. And further back, just have to see, is Savage going to be going for a move here? Doesn't look like it. Anybody further back? Not willing to try. So it's a clean restart there. Savage just coming up to the back of that Red Bull at quite a rate, and pretty much pushing him through the S's section. Needs to be pretty careful with that. Very easy to lose the rear in the S's section. Don't want to be hitting anybody around, but we'll have to see if this turn of pace is going to help him get past the Red Bull in front of him. It'll be a Haas 1-2, Williams 3-4. So team versus team for first 4 positions. Savage just holding, I think, just a better line there on the inside. But a little oversteer. He has to correct it through turn 13. That's not going to help him onto the back straight. Does he have the pace to make a move? Further up, his teammate might be trying to make a move on backlick. Nothing happening there, and Savage just has to stay behind William Corey there. I think I saw a change in the timing tower, and well, there's one. Mark Vesjak and Jack Cockayne fighting against each other. Cockayne getting himself back past the Aston Martin. Good racing all around. There we go, side by side once again, Vezjak and Cockane. This time it's saying, oh, side by side. Still going into turn 6, and Vezjak has that position once again. So a very nice move down the inside for the Aston Martin. Will Cockane be able to fight back against him through the S section? Doesn't look like he'll quite be able to, and a little twitch of the Alpine would suggest otherwise, as it might actually put him under pressure from Powell behind him. Powell looking for a good exit to get past that Alpine, and he's got it. Well, at least he had some speed through the corner, but I think he might just be a bit too far back to make a move down into turn 11. Thought about it, but that was enough to scare Cockane offline, and Powell swooping around the outside now of turn 12 makes the move stick. So he's gotten himself up into 9th place. Cockane losing 2 places within a lap, and might actually come under pressure from Sam Hussein behind him as well. It'll be difficult. Calum Leon still behind Backlick. Savage still behind Corey. And side by side, not Aston Martin, Alpine and Ferrari. And Sam Hussein has that move. So Jack Cockane now out of the points after running 9th place at the beginning of this lap. Hussein gets himself into the points. And there might have been a mistake further up the field, as I'm seeing Leon is now quite a ways back from Backlick ahead of him. And Kauri trying to make the move around the inside. Going into turns 1 and 2, and I think he's got that move done. So some sort of mistake must have happened to the Williams driver. William Kauri has that final podium position, and Leon, I think, sensibly letting it through Elliott Savage. Savage now on the hunt of Kauri ahead of him, and both of the Haas's up ahead if he wants to keep his championship hopes alive. Seeing now quite a train form up behind Harry Powell in the McLaren. So we'll have to see, is he harboring any damage? Or did he just have a dry setup for qualifying? Or is he just not finding much pace on the intermediates? Oh, did Savage get past? Savage got past William Kauri. I didn't even see it. I didn't think it'd be possible. I thought he was too far back. But Kauri trying to fight it back around the inside of turn 12. I don't think he'll have it. And as they head onto the back straight now, still side by side as it looks, and there might have been a bit of contact because William Kauri is off into the barriers now. We'll have to pick him up. Not retired, but might have some damage to the front of his car. Let's see if we can see. No, can't quite see anything from behind James McCauley. Can't exactly see what happened, but I would assume there would have been a little bit of contact because they were already on the straight. I don't think he would have been very limited for traction. Of course, you never know with this game and its traction, but Savage setting the fastest lap there, so he's pushing as hard as he can now up behind Mitch Snape's teammate, Daniel Backlick, and Backlick will probably be trying to hold up Savage as much as he can, as into the pit lane goes William Kauri, and probably has to get a new front wing. And gets himself a 5-second speeding penalty. I mean, just insult to injury there, and unsurprisingly retires himself from the session in the pit lane. Very unfortunate turn of events from him. Further back, there's a mistake from Harvey Conway going off the track on the outside of turn 2, but didn't see a change in the standings tower, so I think he's gotten away with it for the most part. So we'll have to see now. We've got some team battles going on. Haas 1-2, Williams 3 and 4. Savage's teammate behind him will just probably defend from Tyler Witz behind, trying to allow Savage to only focus ahead of him. Needs to be making up as many places as he can get. Well, he's got a slipstream, and he's quite close to Backlick ahead of him. And the battery was on, but switches it back off. He's not entirely certain if he wants to make a move or not. Takes a look down the inside of turn 14. Backlick defends well, but might have a little bit of a switchback going into turn 16. He'll have the outside line, though, so we'll have to see if Backlick can still fend him off, and he does. And they're just going to stay side by side there, having to go onto the AstroTurf on the outside of the track. Savage gets that P2, but I think he might have to give it back because it might have been counted as an illegal overtake, and Bakalik is back ahead of him down the inside of turn 1. So some very exciting fighting happening there. Savage will not be backing down for the rest of the laps either. Bakalik will be hoping that Snape can get a move on, but Savage just throwing it down the inside of turn 4. He's got that position. Is he going to be able to defend it going into turn 5? Bakalik's going to try a move down the inside once again. It's going to be aggressive, but backs out. And Savage has that P2. Now his championship rival up ahead of him. He's gotten himself up through the field, but he has to spend a lot of battery to do it. So will he be able to challenge for the lead here? Snape does have some older tires. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. It's very exciting here. Snape has a lot of battery to play with as well, and in fact, he's starting to deploy. See, he knows the severity of the situation that he finds himself in. We'll be heading onto the back straight here shortly. Savage looks to be pretty fast through the corners, but maybe not so much down the straight. So we'll have to see, but he does just have a very good line through turn 13 on the exit, and he's deploying what little battery he has left. It's not much, but Snape ahead of him probably deploying as well in defense, and gets himself enough of a gap that he doesn't need to worry about it. Further back, Callum Leon has also gotten past Daniel Bakalik, who is now under pressure from Tyler Witz in the Red Bull. Thought about a move going into turn 14 and didn't find anything there, and might have been side by side for just a moment with James McCauley and Charlie Gordon going into turn 14 as well. But these leading pair just starting to run away with it here. Oh, and there's been a collision. Powell and Sam Hussein coming together partway through turn 1 going into turn 2. They're both off the track and they've dropped to the back of the grid, but they haven't retired. I think that was a right-hand end plate for the front wing of Powell. Yep, that's gone. And not entirely certain on the severity of any damage on Sam Hussein's kart. We'll have to see further up the field. Tyler Witt still holding very close behind Bakalik, and Savage pretty much pushing Savage through the S's as we've seen before. But unable to find any position there. He's actually saved up quite a bit of battery in the Williams. So we'll have to see if he's going to be able to make a move down the long back straight this time. Snape has plenty to play with as well. Have to see, they'll both be deploying everything that they have. They need to keep each other at bay as much as they can. But Snape just finding that gap and pulling it ever wider, so Savage will not be able to make a move down the inside. Side by side, Daniel Bakalik and Tyler Witz, and Witz finally makes that move in turn 14. So Bakalik starting to drop back through the field. I have to say, given that it's F3 and given that it's a wet race, I wasn't expecting to see so many clean moves, clean overtakes, good racing, but it is a spectacle to see. Callum Leon starting to get up to the back of his teammate as well, might be joining the fight. I don't think he'll be trying to hold up his teammate at all, but he might just make it 2-on-1. Further back, I just see Sam Hussein starting to come up to the back of Powell. These two came together not too long ago, and throws it down the inside, does the Ferrari. Might be a little bit of downforce loss on the front end for the McLaren, and quite a bit of ping loss for myself, as Sam Hussein teleports himself up ahead of Harry Powell and into 11th place. Alright, here we go again. What's this? Round of 3, 4, maybe even 5? Between Savage and Snape down the long back straight. What'll it be for these two? Savage still deploying as much as he can. Snape still building that gap though, and Savage having to switch it back off. He must be getting a little frustrated at this point. having to stay behind Mitch Snape for so long. He knows he needs to make that move, but Snape just doing well to keep him at bay. But he has been burning quite a bit of battery as well. So his defense might come crumbling down in some laps to come. As Savage had the fastest lap there for a moment, but Tyler Witz takes it from him. And everybody who was behind a backlick and getting held up by him now finding themselves creeping up behind the leading pair. Savage might have had even a little bit of a look into turn 2, but didn't find anything there. It just might have dropped back for his efforts. Oh, here we go. Here's a development. Harry Powell into the pit lane. Medium tires. So the first dry tires of the race. We'll have to see if that gets him any pace. The track still looks quite wet, although it doesn't look like it's still raining, so there might be a dry line forming here pretty soon, as there's still a little bit of spray coming up from the rear of these cars. So he might struggle a little bit on those medium tires, but once the track dries up, he'll be finding some pace. Finding some pace is Elliott Savage, going to be trying to throw it down the inside of turn 11. Snape on the outside, that switches to the inside, but he has a very tight line that he has to take through turns 12 and 13, and Savage gets himself up ahead of Snape and into the lead, and Snape started to lose the car a little bit there. Might have hit Callum Leon, but no damage there. Nobody spun out completely, and Leon gets himself past Snape for the moment. Snape gets himself back past Leon now. Into turn 14 we go, and where's Tyler Witz come from? He's throwing it down the inside of both of them, and I think he's got that move. Look at that. Quite a move from the Red Bull driver. Gets himself up into P2. No idea where that one came from, but Snape now, not only is he behind his championship rival, he's behind another car ahead of him. As now more drivers are coming into the pit lane, are they going to start trying to see if the slick tires have any pace? So I don't think they'll be going for new intermediates. There's no reason for that. We'll have to see as they head out of the pit lane what the standings graphic changes it to. But I have a feeling we're going to see some medium tires, and indeed yellow striped medium tires for Backlick and Harvey Conway. Charlie Gordon into the pit lane as well, so the track's starting to dry up a little bit here. Still doesn't look incredibly dry, but yeah, certainly not raining anymore. And if it's going to be drying up, it's going to be doing so anytime soon. So we'll have to see between Savage, Snape, Tyler Witz even, who's going to be pitting first. Someone might try it for the undercut, but if it's too early, they'll only be losing time. Powell was the first one on medium tires. He hasn't gotten himself a fastest lap of the race yet, as you would probably expect from the first of the slick tire runners. As soon as the track dries up, he'll be the one with the fastest lap of the race, as there's a local yellow flag there going into turn 1 for Charlie Gordon, and very, very far off the track did Tyler Witz just go. Not entirely certain what happened to him there, but Snape now closing up very quickly behind him. Is he going to try a move? Opts for the outside. Is he going to try for a little switcheroo here? Witz does go a little bit deep, but he covers off Snape as well as he can. Snape might be opting for the outside for this one as well. Is Witz going to be going wide? Well, Snape tried to hold it out around the outside and can't find the place there, but he's going to be going side by side once again going into turn 1, opting for the outside again. Interesting overtaking strategies from Mitch Snape, but he's not losing a whole lot of time. He just needs to get past that Red Bull as quick as he can. Nobody from the front pitting it yet. So the track's still not quite dry enough. Ooh. Mitch just losing the rear there a little bit. Those intermediate tires might be starting to give up here. But I mean, he just has to be frustrated. He sees a car ahead of him just holding him up. Tyler Witz holding up Mitch Snape, and Savage already with almost a 4.5 second lead over Tyler Witz. Snape even further back. And not entirely certain what's happened here, but Callum Leon is very close to Mitch Snape, and Vezjak is getting in on the action as well. Anybody going to be making any moves down the inside? Goes Mark Vezjak on Callum Leon, and they don't make any contact. Leon keeps that place. Savage is in the pits. Savage is in the pits, and it's going to be for slick tires. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. If he can get some lap time on those tires, he'll be undercutting Mitch Snape for sure. I mean, not that there's anybody ahead of him to undercut, but if the track isn't quite dry enough yet, Snape will have a faster lap before he pits for new slick tires. So it's a risky maneuver from Elliott Savage, but covering off the undercut is not the worst strategy in the world either. It's difficult, it's tricky. You never know, really. Snape starting to drop back from Tyler Witz as well, so I think his slightly older intermediate tires might be starting to give up the ghost a little bit sooner than everyone around him. If he wants to pit, he's going to have to do it sometime soon. One would imagine Callum Leon now opting for the outside going into turn 14. We'll have to see where this puts him. Doesn't break much later and cedes that position. Charlie Gordon getting out of the way for everyone ahead of him. I would have to imagine Mitch Snape is going to be going into the pit lane here, and in fact he is. Leon will follow. Vezjak will follow as well. Tyler's into the pits ahead of them. So now we have to cut to Elliott Savage. Is he going to be able to take the lead once again? He doesn't have much battery, so he's been trying his hardest to get a good outlap on those fresh medium tires. But he's going down the pit straight now, and I think he's got it. I think he's got it, at least from Mitch Snape. There's Tyler Witz on the inside there coming out of the pit lane, and Savage has done it. Savage has gotten himself back up into P1 on a drying track. Everybody opting for the mediums, nobody risking it on the hards or the softs. And Backlick setting the fastest lap there. First one for our slick tire runner, so the crossover point is now, but it might have actually been last lap, as there is now quite a gap between Snape and Savage. And I think Snape just has to concede this one. He'll have to, well, not even settle for second at the moment, because Tyler Witz does have a 3-second time penalty, but Snape 4.5 seconds behind him, so he'll have to push to get within that penalty window if he wants to get second place, maximize the amount of points that he can get. And Savage looking very good for a race win here. Here we go, Vezjak and Snape fighting it out on the back straight. We've seen Snape with some good straight line speed though. But they're side by side, very close together as they head through turn 14. And still side by side as they're going to be heading into 16 now. And Snape fends off Vezjak for the moment. Sam Hussein getting very close to the back of James McCauley ahead of him. Two Alpines look to be fighting as they headed onto the back straight. And Hussein might be picking up the scraps here. DRS is enabled, so you know the track's very dry. And coming together, Sam Hussein and James McCauley pushing each other wide at turn 1, but I don't think there's going to be any damage there. So rough, but no huge deficits there in terms of pace or lap time. Vezjak's still very close to the back of Snape. He's going to be trying again down the back straight. Throat starting to dry up here a little bit, as there's a lot of action to call. Track looks very dry now, so I don't think anybody's going to be struggling a whole lot in terms of grip on those medium tires. Must be said, even if the checkered flag were to fall now and Snape couldn't get up ahead of Tyler Witz, and even if Vezjak passes him here, which it looks like he's going to be able to do quite handily, it was a very good effort from Mitch Snape to get himself up from 11th place that he qualified on that intermediate tire strategy that he started with, so only one stop for the Haas driver. And Vezjak throwing it down the inside of turn 14. Snape has to concede that one and goes down into 4th place. Further back, everybody just starting to crowd up behind. Who is that ahead? That's not Leon, that's Jack Cockane ahead. This little group here just saw Macaulay going off the track at the edge of the frame. See if Bakalik wants to try anything down into turn 1. Doesn't quite do so. So these two are going side by side, and Sam Hussein got himself past Jack Cockane going into turn 2. So a good move from the Ferrari driver. And we have a pit for Harry Powell. Might be going on to soft tires to, no, just to retire. Alright, so all of our finishers as it stands will be in the points, as there's 10 drivers left of 15 that started. I think the race is pretty much in the hands of Elliott Savage. Just needs to bring it home in one piece. Bakalik tried to look down the inside of turn 11, not finding anything there. Trying to scare James Macaulay into a mistake. As the gap between Tyler Witz and Mark Vezjak in 2nd and 3rd place, 7.5 seconds, so I don't think Vezjak or Snape will be able to get within that penalty window. As Bakalik very close to the back of James Macaulay now, throws it down the inside of turn 14, and might be a little switcheroo coming back, you know, from James Macaulay. So they're going to be side by side heading into 16. Is he going to try the same thing? Nope. Bakalik takes that position up into 8th place now for Haas. Doesn't get DRS though. Is Macaulay going to find enough pace? No, he's not going into turn 1. But he might going down the back straight into turn 14. What have I done? I have done something. There we go. As now we look back to Mitch Snape. Callum Leon is right up behind him. So Snape starting to drop back from Vezjak. Leon finding pace on those mediums as well. Leon very close to Snape there. Might have had a little look to the outside of turn 11, but probably wants to stay behind. Wants to get that DRS going down the back straight. Doesn't have much battery though, so he's going to have to deploy whatever he can. And I'm just getting some horrible camera angles as per usual. Mitch Snape seems to have the superior straight line speed. Is Leon gonna hang it around the outside, switch to the inside? Try a little move on Snape, goes a little deep, tries to cut back to the inside, but couldn't quite do it there. Snape keeps that position. Holding on to 4th is Mitch Snape. He needs to keep as many points as he can. The DRS for Callum Leon, and he's going to throw it down the inside of turn 1. And I think he's going to have that position as they head into turn 2. Snape now down into 5th place. And with only 5 laps left to go, I think he'll be hoping to keep Sam Hussein at bay as much as he can. further up the field, I think it's worth mentioning, Tyler Witz has caught up to the back of Elliott Savage. He does have that time penalty, but he might just look for that move on track. And in fact, you know, in 5 laps, if he's got a significant pace advantage over Tyler Witz, might try to extend that gap if he gets past him and take the overall victory, as there is a yellow flag for James McCauley in the Alpine, losing it out of turn, it's turn 10. So he might have Harvey Conway for company. If Witz wants to make this move, he's got to do it as quickly as he can because there's not much time left in the race. Of course, as they cross the line, it's going to be 4 laps to go. And 4 laps around China, I mean, it's a lot of distance for sure. And he's going to switch to the inside, a little bit of side-to-side contact there, but Tyler Witz takes the lead. He doesn't have it on penalties, but if he can get that gap to over 3 seconds, then he will take the overall victory. Savage will be fighting him back as much as he can. Sam Hussein gets past Mitch Snape going into turn 1 as well. So Snape's starting to drop back through the field. Not what he would have wanted to see. Savage now trying a move on Tyler Witz, but I don't think you're going to try and hang it around the outside of the S's section. And has to concede that one. I have to say, after racing in the first couple of races in F3 and commentating most of the rest of them, this is a highlight reel. I mean, this is a wonderful race to watch. Everyone's very clean and clinical. So kudos to everybody here. I know we've had a couple of collisions, but pretty much unavoidable in a F1 online race. And James McCauley just finding himself under some local yellow flags. Once again, might have some damage somewhere on that car that he's not able to keep it stable, but he is in the point, so there's no reason to retire out of frustration. As that gap is growing between these top 2, Tyler Witz setting a fastest lap once again, up to 8 tenths now between the 2 of them. So Witz needs to break that DRS and get on with it if he wants to get over 3 seconds. I assume it's only 3 seconds if we take the detail here. Yep, 3 seconds for everybody that has a penalty. Not even that many penalties for our F3 drivers, so, I mean, very well done to everybody. Hats off. Although Elliott Savage is making up quite a bit of time in the corners. We've seen that throughout the race, that he's had quite a bit more pace through the turns. Must be a higher downforce setup, and that gap that I said was 8 tenths of a second, now down to only 3. So we'll see these two grow apart and come back together, but is DRS once again for Elliott Savage. It's going to be minimizing any straight line speed deficit that he's going to have to Tyler Witz ahead of him. And Witz understandably deploying as much battery as he can, but that harvesting is not going to help his straight line speed either. It's going to make it very difficult to gain much time at all. And in fact, he goes very deep through turn 14, and Savage seizes the opportunity to go down the inside and retakes that lead. I think Tyler Witz just has to give this one up. I don't think he's going to be able to gain 3 seconds in 2 laps. Unless something absolutely catastrophic happens. And something absolutely catastrophic has indeed happened, as Tyler Witz hits the rear left of Savage. Fortunately for Savage's championship hopes, he isn't really much worse for wear, but Tyler Witz just really has to concede that one, as he's now very far behind Savage, and didn't lose any positions there. Vezjek behind him also has a 3-second time penalty, so won't be losing that position on penalties either. As we see Sam Hussein trying to go down the inside, late braking on Callum Leon, down into turn 6, and he's got that move made. See if Leon can mount an offense through the SS section here. James McCauley into the pit lane, of course. If you are in the points and have the fastest lap, you'll get an extra point there. So McCauley, understandably, going onto the soft tires, will be pushing for that fastest lap. Not a bad strategy from him. As we see a little bit more of Sam Hussein's internet teleporting him around the track. Leon is right behind him. But absolutely no battery at all going down the back straight. Still gaining, though, with Slipstream and DRS. He's going to throw it down the inside of turn 14. This is everyone's favorite overtaking spot here. And two of them just coming together. Callum Leon forced off track there. I don't think he'll be very happy about that one. But Sam Hussein does keep that 4th place. And I reckon if we don't see an overtake here, there's going to be an appeal to the stewards for that one. Unfortunately for Leon, he is starting to drop back from the rear wing of that Ferrari. Final lap now as Elliott Savage has crossed the line, so you might as well just take a ride with him and appreciate the final lap for all it's worth, all its glory. He has driven quite a good race here. He didn't have the best strategy pitting late onto the intermediate tires, but fought his way up through the field and kept it all in one piece on the track. Very well-deserved P1 for him. There we go. James McCauley sets the fastest lap of the race. We'll have to see if he can improve on that one, but I assume he'd be using up most of his battery entire life on that first lap, so be an extra point for him. But Elliott Savage, we're rounding the final corner now, and sees the checkered flag, takes the win here in China. Very good race from him to take the win. Tyler Witt's right behind him in 2nd place. Will keep that position, I believe. Mark Vezjak takes 3rd to round off the podium. And Sam Hussein actually jumps Mark Vezjak at the line. Wasn't much between them, but Sam Hussein takes that podium position from Vezjak, who's now down into 4th. Callum Leon in 5th. Mitch Snape, well, he was leading the championship a few races ago, now finds himself finishing in P6, and his rival in 1st position. He's going to have to mount quite an offensive in the final race next week. And it's P7 for Bakalik, 8th for Jack Cockane, 9th for Harvey Conway, and James McCauley is still rounding the track. No battery left as he's trying to go for that fastest lap. But I appreciate the effort from McCauley to get that fastest lap. Really, I do. It's fun to see. And rounding the final corner now. 2 points for the Alpine driver. Very nicely done. Driver of the day goes to Mitch Snape, and I can't disagree with that one. He did qualify pretty far down. Fought his way up into some points-paying positions, but victory goes to Elliott Savage here. As we see them coming out of the podium now to celebrate their win. Snape doesn't want to see his championship rival celebrate, though. He's already So as it stands, Elliott Savage will have a pretty commanding lead going into our final race next week over Mitch Snape. And, well, we'll have to stay tuned, stick around for that one. And see the final results of that race. You never know what could happen. There's the official classification there. And I think I'll just take a scroll through all of these menus here in case anybody needs it. And that'll do it for us today. That was GRS, round 12 of 13 in China. One more race to go then next week. Tune in for that one. Same time, same channel.